Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever read-through of The Clockwork Son. This is the first volume of Myths and Fables, a literary magazine that I am doing, writing a lot of short stories in the interim, and have been finding finding the process to be a lot of fun. This is dedicated to those robbed of their ancestral home, a story of fire, forgetting, and what remains. We'll be flipping through a lot of the story in it of itself as a read-through, but please do buy a copy for yourself. You can find it on mythsfables.com. That's mythsfables.com. Let's get into it. The architects extracted me from the belly of a foreign cargo vessel with a surgical precision. They named me Son, a tribute to the lives burnt out beneath their galaxy sun in service to the Savior. The Clockwork Son called my arrival an offering of kinship, a reward to the laborers who had burned themselves out beneath it. At least, that's what they told me when I was old enough to learn. For the Savior is not merely light, it is a body, a cathedral coiled upon itself. Before that, I remember only what the body remembers. Warmth, dark, and a sound pulsing beneath it all. Not thought, not language, only the sensation of a click deep in my throat. First syllable of the name my people pressed into me before the hold of that vessel swallowed the light. I carried that name with me, for a time, at least, before they took it. The Savior is not merely light. It is a body. Cathedral coiled upon itself, a planet-sized heart of brass ribs and articulated plates etched with the numbers no one remembers how to read. Light is only what it sheds. What it keeps is weight and heat, the long memory of work. The Savior feeds on names, the architects said the morning they led me to the naming platform. The task they set before me was older than machines, older, I think, than anything they built or inherited, though they never said so. The Savior's flame continues when he is satisfied. If not, the world below will know his wrath in thunder and rain. You will come to know his moods, given time. Every morning cycle before the great ignition, the dross arrived, a meal for our Savior. They came in vessels that reeked of unfamiliar spices, their skin darker than any face I was built to recognize. Their eyes moved across the Savior's architecture the way a hand moves across something it once owned. I heard his voice more clearly than we did. The architects said they hadn't learned to filter it. I watched from the naming platform and said nothing. Once, a young dross paused beneath the platform and looked up, not at the Savior, but at me. His mouth moved, a single syllable shaped like something I almost knew. I looked away before he could finish it, told myself it was because I didn't want to shame him with my ignorance. I know now it was the other way. Each time one of them opened their mouth, something shifted in my throat, the ghost of a sound I almost knew how to make. A brother I was asked to forget told me he recognized the tongue of a dross after his rotation at the naming platform. He reached for the memory and spoke their words aloud, old syllables pouring from him like water from a cracked vessel. I was on the naming platform when they found him. The door to his quarters stood open. The architects moved through it like information. I did not go in, but through the gap I saw the neat row of it, plates stacked by sizes, filaments coiled, the auxiliary heart placed precisely at the end as though he laid out his tools before a final job. Plates first, then filaments, then the auxiliary heart, the same sequence I would one day follow. Architects told us a fault in his construction maddened him and told us to forget he existed. So we did. The architects trained us to bury what their designs couldn't hold, but he was the sanest one of us. He understood, before any of us did, that to unmake yourself on your own terms is the only true act of freedom. The Clockwork Son, for all its turning, will not forget the shape of those who once toiled beneath it. I think I believed that, even then. The architects replaced parts of me gradually when I first arrived. Slowly, precisely, each time they removed something, they set something new in its place and called it a lesson. This is how you endure. This is how you store the spirit without burning. This is how you make yourself useful. The words arrived cleaned, machined, shorn of history, as though care itself could be engineered. I did not notice the difference. I learned to speak as they did. I learned to praise as they did. The name I arrived with, whatever my people pressed onto my forehead in the dark of that vessel, dissolved from me so gradually that noticing was itself lost. What I noticed was this. One morning, I opened my mouth to make the click and found only silence. Father ordered my throat calibrated. I learned this later when I was old enough to be angry. I was still permitted to speak, but only the sanctioned syllables. What remained of my name was a shape my body could no longer make. In sleep, I dream in a language that dissolves on waking. Tastes of iron and fruit, honeyed, then metallic, then sour. Kybits came on the night I tasted language, their mouths moving in silence, beckoned me towards them while I fled. I understand they are not the shadow creatures of my nightmares. They are memories, proof that people like me existed before our mouths were rebuilt into something more convenient, more tolerable. Once, in Father's tomb after Mass, I asked why the dross looked so different from us. Father's eyes found mine and held them long enough that I knew I had made an error. He did not strike me. He only waited, motionless, until the wrongness of my question returned the sound to my throat. No command, no raised hand, just the particular stillness of a door that had, without announcement, been locked. He turned away and did not touch me for an entire season. After Mass, architects moved among us with open palms. Press of fingers to the shoulder, the back of a hand against the cheek. We learned to need it. The season Father revoked his touch, I cried, or something that functioned as crying. I longed only to be forgotten, and that longing frightened me more than death. Like the child I was, I wanted to be seen and loved. I wanted only to be cared for. I did not mind the days of labor for love. This is where I'm going to pause. Please be buying my copies of Myths and Fables, the literary magazine that I have created. They are just under $10 a month or $100 per year for the subscription. If you would rather do a PDF, you can always do $5 a month or $50 a year. Independent volumes are $12 for print or $8 for the PDF. You can, of course, find all of this on mythsfables.com. That is where you can find all the work that I have done. Thank you so much for listening to my short story, or at least a portion of it. There's a lot of goodies in here, as you can see. The Clockwork Son story, poetry highlights, some featured stories, featured review. Next time, a little sneak peek onto Volume 2, as well as a little review on what I am reading. Thank you all so very much, and I'll see you on the next one.